Salute YouTube. I want to talk about a couple of things today. The first one being, if you look at the thumbnail of this video, the picture I got up, uh, it explains John Alite's strategy to a T, in his own words, coming from his mouth. It's a little piece of a transcript of his cross-examination when he was testifying against John Gotti Jr. And he's being asked, he mentions that when he was talking to, I'm assuming, John Gotti Jr., that he would tell a little bit of truth, a little bit of lies, and kind of spin his own story. And uh, I don't know if it was the prosecutor, the defense lawyer, asked him, so this is something you do a lot? And he says, yeah. He says, you take a little bit of truth, you add some lies, and you spin it, to make it your own, whatever. I don't remember the exact words. You'll see the picture when you look at the video. So, that's it. That says it all. For anybody who believes that every word that comes out of his mouth is gold, look at just that. That tells you he says himself, he does this a lot. This is what he does. And I don't know, I got to read the whole court transcript. I don't know exactly what he was referring to in the cross-examination, what he had said, whatever. I try to research this stuff as much as I can, guys, but I got a busy life, so I know it would be better if I had all this information already ready to go, and I'll get to that point where I have that. But this is what I'm doing for right now. And that's it. That tells you John Alite's strategy in life. That's what he does to benefit himself, to get ahead, whatever. He takes a little bit of truth, adds a bunch of lies, and he makes up his own story from that. And that's how he manipulates, and that's how he gets over on people. And that's what he's doing now, and it's what he's always been doing, according to this. So that's something important I wanted to get out. I don't have to go too much further into it, because like I said, you can read it, and it says it all right there. Another thing, I got a little threat. I don't want to say who it was from. I'll say it was one of his kids, but I'm not going to name, which one or their name. You could probably see the comments in the comment section of the video. Which one was it? I think it might have been my first video. The YouTube Wars one, I'm not sure. But, this person said, I believe the exact words were, my father is not going to be happy about this. You should rethink it. Listen, I'm not going to disrespect anybody's kids. I'm just not going to do it. And I won't accept disrespect towards any of mine. So that's just not me. That's why I'm not even going to mention their name. And it's not important anyway. But listen. Did you think I expected him to be happy about it? Of course he's not happy about it. I'm one of the many people exposing all his bullshit. But what you don't understand, as many times as I say it, is I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about anybody, okay? Is he going to come hit me with one of his autographed baseball bats? What's he going to do? I don't care. I'm not worried about him. So I don't know what the point of that was supposed to be. It was obviously meant to be a little threat, but it makes no difference. After a few comments were traded, I just went on to ignore it, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Anything else that comes my way like that. Another thing, Hootie started responding to the video I made where I mentioned his name in the title. He's not happy with me. A couple of his comments were real incoherent. I could barely understand what he was saying. But he said I shouldn't be using his name, and he said that, I shouldn't take sides in this, and I really shouldn't take Jimmy's side because Jimmy don't care about me. He's not going to do anything for me. He's not going to put me in any of his videos. He might shout me out, once or twice, but that's it. That's fine. I'm not asking for for anything from Jimmy. I appreciate everything Jimmy does. I appreciate when he comments on my videos. I appreciated when he shouted out my channel in his video the other night about Nino Gadji. I appreciate all the support I get from him. I'm not stupid. If it wasn't for Jimmy Calandra, I wouldn't have 3 subscribers, okay? But that's not what this is about. I'm not, I'm not trying to ingratiate myself with Jimmy. Me and Jimmy have spoken a couple of times here and there. I've been nothing but a gentleman to him. He's been nothing but a gentleman to me. I think we're cool. He obviously supports the channel, so that's great. But I'm not necessarily looking for anything. If anything comes my way, fantastic. But Jimmy's already done more than I can expect from him. And as far as using his name, he's a public figure. These guys are all out there making these videos now, telling their stories. People are going to use your name. And I never said anything bad about Hootie. If you listen to the video, uh, it's simply because I don't know much about him. I never heard of Hootie till a couple months ago on Vlad TV. I don't know enough about him to say anything bad about him. That's not me. I'm not just coming at everyone. That's not my plan. I come after John Alite because I can't fucking stand John Alite. From when all this started with him testifying against John Gotti Jr. and he started putting himself in every fucking documentary and Crime Watch Daily and everything he could possibly fit himself onto, I couldn't stand his lying, his bullshit. It was so easily, disputable, and that's my main reason for doing this. The fact that him and Jimmy had beef, and I happen to be a fan of Jimmy's, uh, just helped move it along a little quicker and motivated me a little bit more to get it done and get started on it. But, I don't know exactly what his beef is. Maybe that I used his name. Uh, I don't really like the way he was talking about Jimmy and some of the other things he was saying. I talked to some of the other guys today that he called out in his video. I don't know if they want their names mentioned, but they said the same thing basically. He was going at everybody, he went after them. I don't know what was up with him the other day, but that's his business. It's not mine. Um, People are mentioning drugs, alcohol. Listen, especially with my history, the last thing I'm going to do is speculate on what he may or may not be using. Um, Honestly, Hootie seems like when he's got his head together, he's probably a pretty good guy. I don't really have any reason to believe he's a bullshitter. Considering where he grew up and stuff, everything he says probably is true. He might exaggerate a little like everybody does, but I don't know. If he's mad at me, I don't know what to tell you. Again, I really don't care. I don't give a fuck either way. It doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, he's angry too, and it is what it is. I expect people to be pissed off. I expect people to make threats. But if he is on anything like people are saying, and he is having those troubles, honestly, all I could do is wish him the best. I hope he gets help, if it's even true. I mean, he says he's not on anything. I don't know. But like I said, if he is, I hope he gets help like I did, and I hope everything works out for him. I wish him the best. I wish everybody the best, except for one guy. So, other than that, there is a story I want to tell. You know, I don't know how interesting my stories are. Everybody thinks they have a book in them. Everybody thinks their story is real interesting. Um, I personally think my stories are interesting, but I'm me. This is the only life I've lived. I'm going to tell these stories because people are asking for them, and I appreciate that so much. The fact that anybody has any interest in what I'm saying is, I couldn't be more grateful. So, I'm going to start off with a story that's, a little bit of addiction, crime mixed in. Um, those two things also fed each other throughout my life. So, when I was about 19 years old, I had been drinking since I was like 16, and I started doing coke probably around 18. And I started, I didn't just ease my way into it. I jumped right in. And I was doing a lot, and I was selling it. So unfortunately, I had enough of a inventory to keep myself going. And I'd be awake for days at a time, just like anybody else who's ever had a real problem with coke. But as it got to the point where I wasn't even selling enough really to make a profit anymore, you got enough to get you high. And like everybody's dealt with who's ever done that drug, the nightmare starts as soon as the coke runs out. And what a lot of people have to do, and what I certainly had to do, the only way you're going to get to sleep is you got to drink yourself to sleep. So that's what I would do. I would use hard liquor, and I would drink myself, drink myself asleep. And I did that for a while, and what started happening is I would wake up in withdrawal. Now, at first, you don't even know it's withdrawal. At least I didn't. And I'd wake up so sick, shaking with the sweats, throwing up, if I even had anything in my stomach to throw up. Um, and it got real bad, and that's when I realized I'm in trouble and I can't function without alcohol anymore. At that point, I wasn't even worried about the coke anymore. Now I'm just trying to keep myself, from being sick, just getting enough alcohol in my system to keep the withdrawals away. And it got to the point where it was so bad I didn't even have taste buds left. I don't know if that was from malnutrition or from the liquor itself just, burning me up inside. I don't know. But there was a period where I had gone about 2 weeks without eating. I tried to eat a donut one day. I remember it took me all day and I didn't get the whole thing down. So around that time, my girlfriend at the time, who was the love of my life at the time, she was my first love. She came to me. She had a father. Her father passed away from alcoholism, and she came to me and she gave me an ultimatum: either you're going to quit drinking, or I got to go. Now I wasn't losing her, so I decided, okay, I'm going to quit cold turkey. Period. No matter what it takes. Now, what I didn't know, because I was young, I didn't have a lot of experience with alcoholics in my family or anything. I didn't realize that you can't just quit. You got to be medically detoxed once you're at the point I was at, or you could die. But I didn't know that. So after she told me that, the next day I decided, all right, I got a friend who just basically, got clean. And I knew there was no alcohol at his house, no substances, no danger there. So I figured I'm going to go to his house and I'm just going to stay there till this is out of my system, and I'm going to fight the withdrawal, and I'm going to be good. Well, about 12 hours into this plan, 12 hours without a drink, I had a grand mal seizure. I woke up in an ambulance. My heart rate was about 165 and they couldn't get it down no matter what they did. So even in the emergency room, they just couldn't get my heart rate down. They moved me to the cardiac intensive care unit, where it got to the point where, I was going to die because they couldn't get my heart under control. So the only choice apparently at the time was to snow me with Ativan. Now what that is they basically they induce a coma. So I think it took them about 64 milligrams, which is enough to put an elephant to sleep. And they put me into a coma for about 7 days. Now, when I came out of that, I was still going through the DTs and the withdrawals so bad that I was hallucinating a lot. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I would see shadow people, and, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. If you know anybody who's ever gone through DTs, it's not a good experience. So one night, I wake up in the middle of the night and there's a nurse in the room and I see her and I don't know who she is because I've been seeing all these shadow people and everything else, and I kick her in the stomach. Terrible thing, but I had no idea. I didn't even know it was a nurse, a woman. I didn't know what was going on. So after that, they were going to commit me to a psych ward. My mom begged them not to do it. So finally, the doctor decides, okay, we won't commit him, but we're going to strap him down. So now they strapped me down for, I believe it was another 5 days. Throughout that 5 days, I got over the withdrawals and the DTs enough that they felt I could be released, but they made me agree to go to an outpatient rehab, which I did. My muscles were atrophied at that point from all that time in bed, so I had to walk with a cane for a while, 19 years old. They told me I had an enlarged heart, an enlarged liver, bone marrow damage. They told me I was about 6 months away from cirrhosis. So I got out of the hospital. I got myself clean. I stayed clean for a little while. Obviously not long enough considering what I've told you before. So about a couple months before that took place, I had made a sale, right? I sold a couple pounds of weed to a guy in a parking lot. Now, of course, I didn't know it at the time, but it was a setup. So after I sell him the weed, he gets out of the car, he gets back in his car, drives off, I drive off. As I'm driving, I see a cop car behind me. It's pulling me over. So I said, all right, I know something's wrong. So I stashed the money to buy, I figured this was buy money they gave him. I stashed it between the seat. It's the best hiding place I could think of at the time, considering the cop was right behind me. So the cop pulls me over. He tells me I got a tail light that's blinking. Now this is a brand new SUV, so I knew there was no tail light blinking. I knew this had something to do with the sale I just made. So the cop asked me for my license, checks my license, gives me a warning, sends me on my way. I take the car to my brother's later that night to check out the taillight. My brother says there's nothing wrong with the taillight, which I pretty much already knew. Now, the hospital thing happens, the withdrawals, the seizure, all that takes place. Some more time passes. About 10 months from that sale, I get picked up at a hotel. I get arrested for a felony warrant from the Drug Task Force. It turns out that, they set me up and they had an ongoing investigation on me. And plus, the informant had been setting other people up too. They didn't want to arrest me that day because, first of all, then they would have only got me once. And secondly, because they knew, that if they arrest anybody using this informant, that person is going to go run and tell everybody in the street, this guy's a rat, don't deal with them. And they blow their source. And, it makes sense that it was an ongoing investigation because the day after I sold him that, he had called me for some coke. But I knew something was up now. So I was like, yeah. What do you need? He said, I need an 8-ball. I said, all right, I'll meet you in the same place. I never showed up. Day after that, he calls me. Now he wants to buy a gun. So I'm like, all right, yeah, I got you. I'll meet you at the same place, same time. Sorry I didn't make it yesterday. Something came up. Never showed up. So now I'm sure I'm irritating the Drug Task Force because they're just sitting around this parking lot all day waiting for me. So anyway, 10 months after that sale, like I said, they picked me up. I wound up taking a plea because it was in a school zone. I could have got a 2 to 4 right off the bat. I wound up getting 18 months. And I got out. After I got out, some more time passed. I was doing okay, but then I started using again little by little here and there. A friend of mine, my best friend actually at the time, his name was Sean. He was a black dude. He was big time. He was selling bricks. Bricks a month, making tens of thousands of dollars a week. And he was my coke and crack connect for the most part. I got my weed from a guy in Texas. I would get like 10 pounds a week. So Sean, like I said, he was my best friend. Plus he was my connect. We spent every day together, day in and day out at the time. We were as close as two friends could be. One night, he goes out shopping with his girl and his baby. And they come home, and he's got a bunch of bags. He bought a bunch of Coogee sweaters. If you know anything about them, at the time, they were like $700 each. He bought some Averex coats, leather coats. It's another thing, crazy expensive. Puts his bags down. They go to sleep. Well, two guys had broken in earlier, and they were waiting in the closet. After Sean and his girl went to sleep, and they got the baby in between them in bed, by the way, these guys come out of the closet. They start stabbing Sean and his girl. They slice her hamstring. They stab her in the legs a couple of times. They stab Sean all up in his back and his arms. They grab what they can and they take off. So Sean gets up. He grabs his gun. He's all stabbed up and bleeding. He's in his boxers. He runs out onto the street, and he's shooting at them as they're running down the street. They wound up getting off with about 17,000, I think. Maybe some coke too. That's what happened. So I decided, I want to get some sort of revenge, and so did a couple other friends of mine. So we start looking for this guy. We can never find him. All we knew is he was some stick-up kid. He was here from Boston with a couple other guys, and this is what they were doing. They were robbing drug dealers, barber shops, stuff like that. So we can't find him. One night, Sean calls me, and he tells me, hey, dude's car is down the street. He tells me where it's at. He's like, I don't know if he's there, but his car's there. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do something. So I go to the gas station, buy a 5-gallon jug of gas, hop in the car, drive to the address. I see the dude's car the way it was described to me. I get out. Now, it's just turning light out. It's like 6 in the morning, summertime. So I hop out, douse the gasoline all over pour the gasoline all over the car, throw the match. The car goes up in flames. I hop back in my car. I drive around the block. out of my mind at the time. I wanted to make sure the car was burning. I started coming up the street. There's already tons of people in the street waving me over, waving everybody over because the car is, I mean, it's the flames are sky high. The fire was out of control. I go home. Of course, I was a little fucked up, so when I get home, I pass out. While I'm asleep, the cops call my mom because the car at the time, I was a kid. The car was in her name. Um, they call my mom and they say there was a fire on so and so street. I don't want to get too detailed, and we got a partial plate number, and it seems to match your plate. Can you give us the other four digits of the plate number so we can confirm it? Now, my mom's not stupid. She's Brooklyn born and raised, street smart woman. She said, "You want me to give you? Now, how about you give me the four digits? If you know the plate number, you give it to me. I'm not giving you anything." Which was funny because if they would have just came to my house, I was so fucked up when I got home. I left the gas can on the floor of the passenger seat of the car. They would have had me right there. But, it did go on. It didn't just end that easily for me. But that's that story. That's one story I got for you. One of the crazy things I did as a kid. And that's it. That's what I wanted to get through for the day. I think I hit everything I wanted to talk about. I'm going to try to come with more stories like this. Some things I can talk about, some things I can't, obviously. I want to get more into the addiction thing, and I'll tell you the story about how that progressed through the years. As long as people keep finding it interesting, I'll keep telling the stories. And, I got some advice from some people in the comments about, the sound. I'm not speaking loudly enough. The microphone isn't turned up enough. Listen, I'm working on this. I'm shocked that I even got the subscribers I got, but this thing is growing, so I'm going to put some money into it. I'm going to, get everything cleaned up and looking good, sounding good, and it'll be better for everyone. And that's it. I hope everybody keeps liking and subscribing the videos. As always, I'm grateful for all of you. I think we hit 300 today. That's fantastic. I want to thank Jimmy again for his support. He helped me out a lot, and his support is always appreciated. So that's it, guys. I got to work tomorrow. I got to go to bed early tonight, but maybe tomorrow night sometime, if I could think of something, I'll drop another video, and I'll see you guys then. Salute.